Have you ever heard the tragedy of Overwatch 2?
Overwatch 2, since its inception, this game has failed to justify its sequel status. It's failed to justify the number 2 in its title because it's
I'd argue its existence is justified by an enormous amount of hentai. Pretty accurate, I think, honestly, at this point.
basically Overwatch 1, but with what many would argue is a worse monetization model and some changes that could have been delivered as an update to Overwatch 1 rather than promoting this as a full-fledged.
But 2 sounds so better and so more sellable than 1. Bro, what do you want to play? Overwatch? Or Overwatch 2? I mean, the first one was lit, but 2, now that's what we're talking about, boys. Obviously, Overwatch 2 needed to happen.
Sequel. The thing that was going to justify Overwatch 2 as a sequel was this brand new PVE mode that essentially were separated by two categories. There was the hero missions, which had you partake in a bunch of missions while also essentially having skill trees that allowed you to modify each hero's gameplay, which sounded really exciting. And it was the thing that
Yeah, it really sounded exciting, modifying Tracer's gameplay and learning about her backstory through, interactive, interesting PvE experiences that delves deeper in the complex, absolutely enormous complex, in fact, personalities of the cast. I'm a cowboy. Why? Cowboys don't think... I'm a cow... So deep. I mean, definitely deeper than Tracer's ass. Because that shit has absolutely no depth to it. It is what it is, boys. I said what I said.
people were most looking forward to.
It's so flat and disappointing. Overwatch 2 deserves what it gets.
And then there is the story missions, which would essentially see Overwatch.
Remember how round and plump it was at the start? And then Tracer decided, you know what, I'm a lesbian now. Like all British women honestly are at this point. And thus, it just, boop, shrunk to absolutely nothingness. The Overwatch 2 deserves what it gets.
Watch gameplay be turned into a campaign-like experience where you'd get cutscenes and set pieces and just narrative elements, and this would comprise the justification for the 2 in Overwatch 2. Now, recall that back in May of 2023, Blizzard scrapped hero missions altogether because they realized that this was just a vision that they could not deliver on. They got too ambitious with it, and as they kept developing the game, they realized that they just couldn't make the development of this mode work.
Yeah. I did again. Who even wants to know Diva's backstory? I'm a gamer girl. I don't have an OnlyFans. I'm special because of that. No, that's boring. That's as boring as anything. What are we gonna learn about? Her valiant tales of people saying bad things about her on the internet because she had the wrong opinion about the situation that was happening? Oh boy, that's so exciting. So relatable also. So relatable. I'm sure everyone's already screaming. Or, Lucio, I like music. Yay. It's so bad. It's so bad. Are we gonna get a backstory why every black character has dreads, by the way? Is that gonna be... Was that supposed to be explained? Why only dreads exist in the Overwatch 2 universe? Because, I have questions.
Without compromising on the main component of Overwatch, which is the PvP. Now, with that, they did clarify that while they did make the decision to cut Hero Mode plus Talents, we have a lot of great PvE content coming this year in the form of big story missions, new cinematics, co-op events, and single-player hero mastery missions. So the hero missions was essentially the portion of the PvE aspect that they retained, and that was something that we did eventually see launch, though there was controversy surrounding that because Blizzard decided to charge $15 for the first batch of story.
Idiots. They should have charged 20 or 30.
Missions, which comprised of a few missions that weren't all that long. And while many did say that it was fun in its own right, many argued that it definitely wasn't worth 15.
The people who have spent thousands in microtransactions, yeah, they're gonna cope their way through high heavens at this point. Obviously, they're gonna say everything that Blizzard does is fun. This blank facial expression also says everything.
$15. Its longevity came into question. The missions weren't that long, and the gameplay didn't offer anything all that new and compelling, though the cutscenes were nice and the set pieces were cool, and it definitely offers some neat narrative elements that Overwatch fans were looking forward to. But $15 per batch of missions was just something that Overwatch 2 could not sell to audiences because the game was already heavily monetized and people were not pleased with its monetization model and the way heroes were locked behind a battle pass. And many were waiting for this thing that they were hoping would be free, essentially free content.
Free from Blizzard. I mean, some people really need to learn their lesson the hard way. Free from Blizzard? Are we even on the same planet?
Since the cosmetics were supposed to pay for the development of the game and were supposed to be the main driver of monetization, and all of the gameplay affecting stuff, that was supposed to be free. All of the content was supposed to be free. That didn't turn out to be the case. And so the end result...
Well, that's because you, the fans, didn't buy enough Overwatch 2. It's your fault at the end of the day. Unironically, Blizzard's position. It's crazy. It's not crazy. It's expected, honestly, at this point. But it is hilarious.
Result was that seemingly the Overwatch 2 story missions, as far as sales go, didn't do particularly well. And that has also led to the complete scrapping of the story missions. I cannot just fathom the level of mismanagement surrounding this game. So this is a report from Jason Schreier published on March 22nd, 2024 via news outlet Bloomberg. The headline here reads, Blizzard makes big changes as Overwatch 2 struggles. Now, one of the things that Jason Schreier emphasizes in this article is this bonus structure that Blizzard has in place. And this is relevant to today's topic of Overwatch 2's financial struggles and the decision to stop making PvE story missions. I'll get to that in a bit. But as far as this bonus structure is concerned with Blizzard, it's one where essentially based on a game's performance, the people who worked on that game will receive bonuses twice a year. It used to be that the performance of the company was company-wide. It was how the entire company performed, and everyone would get bonuses based on that. But since 2023...
Which is unfair communism, in my complete opinion, okay? It is what it is.
Bobby Kotick changed it so that that's separated by...
Again, classic Bobby Kotick W. It is what it is. The G always does everything the best way. I mean, Bobby Kotick is an absolute OG, boys. He knows what's up.
By game. So if Overwatch 2 doesn't do well, but Diablo does really well, then the Diablo team gets a bonus, but the Overwatch team does not.
Yeah, that's a pretty fair way of doing things. I personally like the idea that if I perform well, I get rewarded for it. Not that I perform well and Steve right there is still on a heroin trip for 3 weeks straight now, has lost the company's a lot of money, and now I'm giving him a bonus because I tried hard? Hell no!
Which is not...
This is, by the way, literally Communism 101.
Not a good idea, and...
It is a good idea. It happens in literally every place in the world except America, I think.
Executives within Blizzard try to fight Activision executives against that, so folks like Mike Morhaime and J. Allen Brack fought for bonuses to be shared company-wide because they believe that otherwise everyone would want to work on the most successful games rather than experiment with new ideas.
This is not how life works, okay? I didn't actually talk about this the previous time. Well, I kind of mentioned it, but not too much. This is not how life works. We see this in the world as a majority. If you perform well, you get a bonus. That's how this essentially works. no one's just magically wanting to go to a different place. And if people want to go to a different place because they can't cut it and they want to get free real estate, well, then just fire them. They have proved once again that they're bad. This is like a filter. The same way that, joining a union is. Join a union, congratulations. You literally check the box, I'm shit at my job, congratulate me, thank you.
And that would just generally cause internal strife and division. But of course, former Chief Executive Officer or CEO Bobby Kotick argued that those behind the most lucrative products should be rewarded the most, because he was basically seeking to reward those who made the company the most money. This bonus structure is basically every team for itself, and every team now individually has to focus on profits. They cannot...
Yes. Which is a very good thing.
Experiment with ideas, because there might be a risk that that won't...
How about you experiment with ideas that make sense, not random garbage, and then expect that someone else is going to do the work for you?
Generate profits, and there's no safety net that was there when it was a company-wide thing where other consistently performing IPs and franchises and games could make up for some of the potential risks of experimenting with ideas. And so that leads to every individual team now having to solely dedicate to what makes the most money instead of what is the most fun thing we can make right now. The reason this is brought up is because Overwatch 2 is not performing particularly well, and the bonus that the employees received are the...
You do a horrible job, everyone hates you, you're trash, and you're crying dead, but where's my bonus? I did such a poor job, where's my bonus? And Yongya gets mad at you because communism.
The lack thereof further highlights just how poorly this game is performing. So right here, it is detailed that Overwatch 2 received a paid pack of 3 PVE story missions that sold poorly. This is not information that Blizzard or Activision have relayed. This is something that Jason Schreier got from people, from sources who are familiar.
We know this is true, because if this wasn't true, it would not have been scrapped.
With the business who relayed this information to Jason Schreier. Now we know that the PvE story missions, financially speaking, commercially speaking, did not do well at all. Now, Overwatch 2 already struggled back in 2023 financially, so much so that the development team behind Overwatch, with Bobby Kotick's new implemented bonus structure, wasn't supposed to receive any bonus, but the company would cover some of their bonuses to make up for the shortfall. But this year in 2024, earlier this month, earlier in March of 2024, Blizzard informed developers that Overwatch 2 performed so poorly financially that they would receive a stunning 0% of their bonus targets.
Nice.
And the company this time wouldn't do anything to cover for the shortfalls. This is a big deal because it is rare in Blizzard's history for profit-sharing bonuses to not be distributed, and the reason that this has happened this particular time with Overwatch 2 is because of the new bonus structure that Bobby Kotick implemented. Other teams like the World of Warcraft team or the Diablo team...
Bobby! I can't wait for your return, Bobster.
Those are games that are faring financially better, so they're receiving bonuses, but the Overwatch team will get 0%, which is just a really crappy situation, but also, again, really highlights that this game has not been making money for Activision Blizzard, as interest surrounding this game and the spending surrounding this game sort of fades away. And on top of that, the PvE story missions sold so poorly that they full-on decided to just nuke the whole thing. The majority of the team behind Overwatch 2's PvE was laid off. They killed the team behind the PvE portion of Overwatch 2, or the story missions. And this was part of the mass layoffs that happened back in January as part of a company-wide reduction in its workforce. And furthermore, the company straight up will not be finishing any of the remaining planned PvE content. They'll instead...
Please, Young, tell us how bad it is that people got laid off in the industry. Please, go on, speech.
Double down on competitive PvP gameplay. So for those who did invest $15 into the game to get those 3 story missions in the hopes of getting more, for those who did enjoy that experience, guess what? You spend $15 on essentially content that will never be completed. This is after the fact that you were marketed PvE, hero missions, and all these things, something really comprehensive, and were not delivered on that and we're told that we will definitely deliver on story missions. Already, that was a huge reduction in scope from what was originally promised, and that was announced after people spent money on the game, after the game launched. And now the story missions, the remaining bit of the PvE, the surviving bit, that has been killed off as well. Now, Bloomberg did get a statement from Blizzard through spokesperson Andrew Reynolds, and this is what he had to say. Decisions like these are in service to our community and based on feedback, which is also good for our business and the future of the game. I guarantee...
when has Blizzard listened to any feedback? If they listened to any shred of feedback, half of this shit would not ever happen. Because it would be very clear that no one wants almost anything that Blizzard does.
To you, nobody gave Blizzard the feedback of, we don't want PvE, we don't want you to finish what you started, what you told us we were going to get. This is just them essentially trying to cut back on cost and trying to offset elements.
But Young, yeah, weren't you like extremely previously huge on, well, why are these games so expensive? They should be less expensive. And then people get fired because they're cutting the budgets. And then you're like, why are people getting fired? It's like a circle. It's like no, it's more like an oval at this point because that's how crazy it is with Young.
That are not making anywhere near as much money as they had hoped. This is not in service of their community. This is them doing damage control for just the utter fuck up that the PvE aspect of this game and the development surrounding it and the mismanagement surrounding it ended up being. That's what
Makes
this
sense.
is. The PvE story missions are likely not worth the investment from a business perspective because it takes a lot to develop those.
Again, dude, it's... What do you do with Overwatch? What's the PvE that we're making interesting? There is no story to tell in Overwatch. It's just a pretty hollow place, and that's what it is.
And the returns are just not there, especially because of how poorly the $15 pack that paywalled the story missions sold. And if they release that stuff for free, that might boost players, but will it boost the player base enough that it'll drive enough monetization to make up for the cost of the PvE story missions? And keep it.
This is unironically how they are actually looking at things at Blizzard, because everyone wants their bonus, everyone wants all of their things. This is the problem with big business, and this is the problem with being a publicly traded company. Line go up. It sounds stupid, but it is what it is. Well, actually, it doesn't sound stupid to you, probably. You don't know what's happening. But line go up is a real thing. And, you know, that's why these short-term decisions are being made. Blizzard, unironically, is just looking at all of this in short terms. They cannot risk not doing anything, not making a profit for a quarter, a year, or whatever long amount of time, even if it means that in 2 years they're gonna go like this because everything's amazing, everyone's happy. So stuff like this, stuff that just appeases players, is never pretty much done.
Keep in mind that because of Bobby Kotick's new implemented bonus structure where it's every team for itself, they cannot take the risk of continuing doing story missions, because if another flop like...
By the way, if you don't understand, I'm not joking. I'm actually a huge fan of Bobby Kotick because he's smart. He does good things. He knows what's up. And I know they seem evil and whatnot, but my background is business. My background is working at business analysis and shit like that. So, I am evil. I constantly advocate for firing people. I constantly look at people as meat puppets who need to be cut down, maybe. It is what it is.
This happens again, that means that's another period where the developers behind Overwatch don't get bonuses, and so that's another factor that Blizzard's leadership has to consider when it comes to how to move forward with Overwatch 2. They can simply not take as many creative risks because of what Bobby Kotick implemented there. Whatever the case, this is a
No, that's a bad way to look at it. How about they just do competent shit, okay? How about they just do stuff that works? How about that? That's what this actually does. Okay? None of this communism bullshit, everyone and blah blah blah. You work good, you make things happen. Congratulations. you get a reward. You don't work? Congratulations, no reward for you. You're not gonna expect now, someone else to carry you up the mountain. Because you're not, Sisyphus Stone. It is what it is. Anyway, that was our boy, Younger Yair. And this was Quizzer 77. Oh man, actually, this was not Quizzer 77. This was
Discussions.
Stay tuned right here.
Yeah.
Young.
I'll see you guys next time.
Young out.
Young out.
What a time to be alive. Anyway, this was Quizzer 77. Thanks for watching. Subscribe. Haven't already. And have a nice day. Bye bye.